You watch a loved one push down on the armrest, grunt, and finally haul themselves upright. It looks like effort, but you might think it's just age. Or maybe you see them pause at the bottom of the stairs, gripping the railing, looking up with hesitation. That fear of falling is not normal. Hank looks at you and asks the question you have been wondering: is losing strength with age truly unavoidable? Or is that just a story we tell ourselves? Many assume that frailty after 60 is simply normal aging. They accept it without question, as if it were as inevitable as gray hair. But the truth is that thousands of people are living with increasingly fragile bodies without even realizing that this weakness could have been prevented. There is a silent condition that affects most seniors, yet it is rarely discussed aloud. Doctors often miss it, and patients do not know to ask. Worse still, this condition starts decades before anyone feels old. It begins quietly, in your 40s, long before you notice any struggle. If you are past 40, you could already be experiencing this unnoticed. Your body can be losing muscle without sending any alarm. Hank steps forward, hands open. He promises to show you the real reasons seniors lose muscle so fast. It is not the story you have heard. Spoiler, it is not simply about growing older. There is a specific, named process at work, and it can be addressed. So what can you start today to stop this silent slide? The answer is simpler than you think, and it doesn't require a gym membership or expensive supplements. But before we get to the fix, there is one eating mistake that is quietly speeding up muscle loss in thousands of people right now. A mistake almost no one talks about. This isn't a complicated medical secret. It is something you probably do every single morning without a second thought, and it may be costing you your strength. Stick with me to the end of this video, because the reveal near the end may surprise you. It certainly surprised me when I first learned how much difference one small change can make. This condition has an actual medical name. It is not just getting older. It is a real, diagnosable process that happens inside your body, and knowing its name is the first step to fighting it. The name sounds complex, like something from a textbook, but the idea behind it is refreshingly simple. It is just a description of what happens when your body starts losing muscle faster than it can rebuild. It is called sarcopenia. That is the medical term for the gradual loss of muscle that happens over time, especially after the age of 40 or 50. Sarcopenia means losing muscle mass, losing strength, and losing physical performance. It is not just about looking smaller in the mirror. It is about feeling weaker and moving less easily. Crucially, this loss builds slowly. It never happens overnight. You do not wake up one morning and suddenly find yourself weak. It creeps in over years, often unnoticed. And here is the most important thing I want you to take away from today. It is far from an inevitable fate. You are not doomed to lose your strength just because you are getting older. Sarcopenia doesn't announce itself with a bang. It starts silently, around age 40, when muscle mass begins a quiet yearly decline. Each year after that, the body loses about 1 to 2% of its muscle. That might sound small, but it adds up over a decade. After 60, that decline can speed up. The body's muscle-building machinery slows, and the loss can become more noticeable year by year. The speed of that loss depends on two things: whether you do resistance exercise and whether you eat enough protein every day. Most people don't notice any of this until the symptoms become severe. By then, the muscle loss has been happening for years. Warning signs include a persistent weakness, like struggling to lift a grocery bag or feeling your legs give way on stairs. Walking becomes harder. You might find yourself holding onto furniture for balance or feeling unsteady on your feet. Loss of independence often follows. The fear of falling becomes real, and simple tasks like getting out of a chair feel risky. Falls and fractures become far more likely when muscles are weak. A broken hip can change everything. But this didn't start yesterday. All of this may have quietly started 10 or even 20 years before symptoms ever appeared. That's the silent nature of sarcopenia. A study in the journal Age and Aging measured just how widespread this muscle loss really is. They looked at thousands of older adults and found something striking. About 30% of people over 60 already show clinical signs of sarcopenia. That's roughly 1 in 3 seniors walking around with significant muscle weakness that could be addressed. After age 80, that share can exceed 50%. More than half of the oldest seniors are living with this condition, many without even knowing it. And here is the most alarming part. Many of those cases are never diagnosed, they are never treated. The muscle loss quietly progresses until it becomes a serious problem. Why does this happen? Because people assume weaker muscles are just normal aging. They accept the gradual loss of strength as an unavoidable part of growing older. They accept the decline without ever questioning its cause. It becomes a silent agreement with the body. This is just how it is now. But here is the truth. Sarcopenia is not caused by age alone. That belief is a myth. There are other forces at work, and understanding them changes everything. Several contributing factors exist: diet, activity levels, inflammation, medication use, and even gut health all play a role. And the encouraging part is that most of these can be managed. That, Hank says, is genuinely encouraging news. You are not powerless here. The factors that drive muscle loss are not fixed. They are things you can influence, starting today. One of the most powerful hidden factors lives in everyday protein choices. Most people overlook it, but the type and timing of protein you eat can either protect your muscles or speed up their loss. Another hidden cause sits inside how little the body actually moves each day. Many spend hours sitting, and the body interprets stillness as a signal to shed muscle it thinks is no longer needed. Surprisingly, certain everyday medications play a quiet role too. Corticosteroids, used for conditions like arthritis or asthma, can slowly break down muscle tissue when taken long-term, often without the person realizing. A fourth factor simmers inside constant low-grade inflammation. As the body ages, it produces more free radicals, creating a quiet inflammatory state that disrupts protein synthesis and speeds up muscle breakdown. And a fifth ties directly to how insulin behaves. When the body becomes resistant to insulin, common in those who are overweight or pre-diabetic, it hinders the muscle's ability to regenerate and grow, adding another layer to the loss. But there is one common breakfast habit that ties into all of these causes, and it is something almost no one talks about. More on that soon, because it could be the simplest fix you make today. The first major cause is simple: diets consistently low in quality protein. Muscles need a steady supply of amino acids to repair and rebuild, and without enough, the body starts taking from muscle tissue just to keep basic functions running. Aging bodies actually need more protein to hold on to muscle, not less. This is the opposite of what many people assume. As we get older, the body becomes less efficient at using protein, so the requirement goes up. Yet many older adults eat noticeably less than they need. A typical day might include toast for breakfast, a light soup for lunch, and a small dinner, adding up to far less protein than what a 60-year-old body actually requires. Poor appetite or chewing trouble often shrinks protein intake further. Dentures that don't fit well or a general lack of hunger can make meat or chewy foods unappealing, leading people to skip the very foods their muscles need most. Outdated habits push the idea that eating less is healthier. For decades, seniors were told to cut back on food to avoid weight gain, but this advice backfires when it leads to protein deficiency and muscle loss instead of health. That belief turns out to be a real mistake. When a senior cuts calories without ensuring enough protein, the body starts taking what it needs from its own muscle tissue. Think of your muscles like a house. Protein is the brick. Without enough bricks coming in every day, the house can't repair itself. It slowly weakens, and eventually, parts of it start to crumble. The second big cause is physical inactivity, specifically the lack of strength training. Our bodies are efficient. If you don't challenge a muscle, it gets the message that it's not needed. Walking is wonderful for your heart, your lungs, and your mood. But it doesn't provide enough resistance to preserve muscle mass. You need something that makes your muscles work against a load. If you want your body explained this clearly, and you want to keep your strength for the years ahead, consider subscribing. It helps us keep making videos like this one. Resistance exercises send a different signal. They tell your body, I still need these muscles to lift, push, and pull, and your body responds by keeping that muscle tissue strong. You don't need a gym or fancy equipment. Weights, elastic resistance bands, or just using your own body weight all count. The key is making the muscle work harder than it does in daily life. Simple movements like sitting down and standing up from a chair repeatedly, climbing a flight of stairs, or doing wall push-ups are all effective forms of resistance exercise. Without that regular signal of resistance, your body does something efficient but unfortunate. It assumes those muscle fibers are surplus to requirements. It stops maintaining them. And once the body decides a muscle isn't needed, it gradually breaks that tissue down. The protein gets recycled for other uses, and the strength you once had quietly slips away. Here's a simple test you can do right now. Sit in a sturdy chair, arms crossed over your chest, and try to stand up without using your hands. If that feels difficult, your leg muscles are signaling they need more attention. But there's another silent factor that can accelerate muscle loss, and it often hides in plain sight. Certain medications, when used for long periods, can quietly contribute to muscle breakdown without a person ever realizing it. One class of drugs that's especially concerning is corticosteroids. These are powerful anti-inflammatory medications prescribed for conditions like arthritis, asthma, or autoimmune disorders, but they come with a trade-off. They can interfere with the body's natural muscle-building processes. The risk grows higher when these medications are used long-term or taken without proper medical supervision. Many people self-medicate with leftover prescriptions or overuse them for chronic pain, not knowing the hidden cost to their muscle tissue. And that's the most frustrating part. People may never connect their growing weakness to the medication they've been taking for years. If you're on any long-term prescription, it's worth having a conversation with your doctor about its impact on your muscles. Now let's talk about the fourth major cause, chronic, low-grade inflammation. This isn't the same as the acute inflammation you get from a cut or infection. It's a slow, smoldering fire that burns throughout the entire body, day after day. As we age, our bodies naturally produce more free radicals, unstable molecules that damage cells. This increase is partly due to a lifetime of exposure to environmental toxins, poor diet, and the simple wear and tear of living. This constant state of internal irritation creates an environment where the body is always on low alert. It's like living in a house where the smoke alarm never stops beeping. Eventually, everything starts to wear down. One of the first systems this inflammation attacks is your body's ability to build muscle. It directly disrupts a process called protein synthesis, the very mechanism your muscles rely on to repair and grow after daily wear and tear. And it doesn't stop there. Chronic inflammation also speeds up the rate at which muscle tissue is broken down, so you have a double problem: less building and more demolition. This is why controlling inflammation is so critical for preserving strength. Ultra-processed foods, added sugars, and unhealthy trans fats don't just add empty calories, they actively feed that low-grade inflammation inside your body. Cleveland Clinic. Because number 5 is insulin resistance, a condition that becomes more common as we carry extra weight, especially around the belly. Pre-diabetic patterns in blood sugar frequently travel alongside this resistance, even if a person has never been told they are pre-diabetic. When the body doesn't respond well to insulin, the problem reaches far beyond just blood sugar control. It disrupts how cells handle energy. It also directly hinders the muscle's ability to regenerate and grow after daily wear and tear. The repair signal gets jammed. Remember the earlier analogy about building a house? Muscle needs a steady supply of bricks, amino acids, to repair the cracks that appear every day. Neglect that supply of bricks by skipping protein or letting inflammation block the delivery, and the whole structure weakens over months and years. So muscle loss after 60 is not one single simple cause like getting old. It's a web of factors that all connect. It is a series of silent, cumulative, everyday factors, each one small, but together they shape how strong or weak you become. And here is where the story takes an unexpected turn. One of the biggest obstacles to preserving strength isn't in the body at all, it's in the mind. What you believe about aging matters as much as the biology. More on that in a moment. Yet the biggest obstacle to preserving strength isn't in the body at all, it's in the mind. Myths passed down through generations quietly sabotage millions of seniors. The first myth: seniors should always eat noticeably less food. This phrase has been repeated for decades, leading many to believe a restricted diet is a sign of health. But reality is different. As we age, the body actually needs more nutrients to support vital functions and preserve muscle. Eating less is not the answer. This doesn't mean eating more in volume. It means eating better. Choosing nutrient-dense foods matters far more than simply shrinking portions. Severely cutting calories without ensuring enough protein is like trying to maintain a house without bricks. The muscle has no raw material to repair itself. The second dangerous myth: after 60, it's too late to build new muscle. This belief stops people from even trying. locking them into decline. That belief is completely outdated by current evidence. Several studies show the body continues to respond to muscle stimulation even at advanced ages. Muscle still responds to stimulation when proper nutrition is provided. The machinery for growth remains, it just needs the right signals. Older adults who begin resistance training combined with adequate protein intake can see significant improvements in strength and mobility within weeks. It is absolutely possible to build muscle at 60, 70, even 80 years old if the right environment is created. The body is capable of remarkable change. Here is another myth that keeps seniors weak: the idea that supplements are only for young people building muscle at the gym. The reality is the opposite. Seniors often need supplements more than younger people do, precisely because their bodies are working harder to maintain muscle. Nutritional needs actually increase with age, while the body's ability to absorb key nutrients from food tends to decline. Supplements like protein powder, vitamin D, and omega-3 can be powerful allies for seniors, but always under professional guidance. What should not happen is ignoring real deficiencies. That is the actual hidden danger, letting a lack of key nutrients silently weaken your muscles. Now let's talk about the key nutrients that most older adults quietly lack, starting with the most critical one for muscle. First is complete protein. It is not enough to eat rice, bread, and fruit. Muscles need essential amino acids they cannot make on their own. One amino acid stands out: leucine. It is the critical trigger for muscle protein synthesis, the process that rebuilds muscle tissue. Good sources of leucine include eggs, lean meats, chicken, fish, and dairy. These foods deliver the building blocks your muscles need. Whey protein, which comes from milk, is especially rich in leucine and can be a convenient way to boost your intake, especially after exercise. So let's follow this path together. Each step builds on the last, and the full fix is simpler than you think. Vitamin D. It's not just for bones, it's vital for muscle function too, helping your muscles contract and repair. Low vitamin D levels have been linked to weaker strength and poorer balance, two things you don't want slipping after 60. Deficiency is alarmingly common, especially for those who get little daily sun exposure or who always wear sunscreen. Third essential nutrient, magnesium. It supports both muscle contraction and nerve function, a double necessity. Low magnesium levels show up as muscle weakness, cramps, and that lingering fatigue that won't go away. Nuts, seeds, leafy greens, and whole grains are rich sources, but many older adults simply eat too little of them. Taste changes, chewing difficulties, or old habits often push these foods off the plate, leaving a gap your muscles feel. Gut health matters too. As digestion shifts with age, your ability to absorb these nutrients can decline. Stomach acid production naturally declines over the years, which interferes with protein digestion and key mineral absorption. This decline in stomach acid directly hampers how well the body breaks down protein from food. When digestion is compromised, the absorption of iron, zinc, and vitamin B12 often suffers as a direct result. An inflamed or imbalanced gut creates a roadblock, limiting muscle building no matter how well you eat otherwise. Now we arrive at the most overlooked mistake that silently accelerates muscle loss: starting the day with a protein-poor breakfast. Picture the typical morning routine: a cup of black coffee, a piece of dry toast, maybe a plain cookie or piece of fruit. It looks light and seemingly healthy, yet it falls critically short of what the body needs after a night of fasting. This kind of breakfast completely fails to stop the overnight catabolism, the natural process of muscle breakdown that happens while you sleep. After 8 to 10 hours without food, the body is in a state of nutrient deprivation and urgently seeks fuel. If it doesn't receive a fresh supply of protein at breakfast, the body begins breaking down its own muscle tissue to get the energy it needs. Research consistently shows that distributing protein evenly across all meals, starting with breakfast, is key for muscle preservation in older adults. But here is where millions of people miss the opportunity every single morning. The fix is simple: eggs, plain yogurt, a slice of cheese, or oats with milk. That one daily adjustment can shift your body's entire metabolic response for the day. This single habit may matter more than any supplement you could take. Understanding these causes finally opens the door to real action. Here is what can actually be done, starting today, not next week. Do not wait until real weakness sets in to act. The body responds faster than you think. Earlier care brings a better quality of life later. It is that direct. Even if you already feel weakness, it is never too late to recover strength. Step 1. Include quality protein at every meal, starting with breakfast tomorrow morning. The goal is roughly 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of your body weight each day. That's not as complicated as it sounds. A simple egg for breakfast, a piece of fish at lunch, and yogurt for a snack can get you there. Step 2 is resistance exercise, done 2 to 3 times each week. That's the most powerful signal you can send to your muscles. Without it, your body assumes those muscles are no longer needed and starts breaking them down. You don't need a gym or fancy equipment. Simple movements like standing up and sitting down from a chair, climbing a flight of stairs, or doing wall push-ups in your hallway all count. Consistency matters more than intensity. Resistance bands are another excellent tool. They're inexpensive, lightweight, and easy to store. You can use them while watching television or reading. A seated row or a bicep curl with a band works the same muscles as a heavy dumbbell. Here's what exercise really does. It sends a message to your body that says, I still need these muscles. Your body listens. It responds by maintaining existing muscle and even building new tissue, provided it has the protein and nutrients to do so. Step 3 is caring for your gut. A healthy digestive system is essential for absorbing the protein and nutrients you eat. Without good absorption, all the healthy food in the world won't build muscle. Fiber-rich foods are your gut's best friend. Vegetables like broccoli and carrots, fruits with the peel left on, and whole grains like oats and brown rice all provide the fiber that feeds healthy gut bacteria. Those bacteria help you absorb what you need. Fermented foods are powerful allies. Yogurt, kefir, and sauerkraut contain live bacteria that support a healthy gut environment. Even a small serving daily can improve digestion and nutrient absorption over time. Step 4 involves checking key nutrient levels. Vitamin D, magnesium, vitamin B12, and zinc are all closely tied to muscle strength and function. As we age, our ability to absorb these nutrients declines, making deficiencies common. For some people, supplements become necessary, but this is not a do-it-yourself project. A simple blood test and a conversation with your doctor or a registered dietitian can identify what you genuinely need. Professional guidance ensures safety and effectiveness. Step 5. Cut back on ultra-processed foods and refined sugar. These are the silent accelerators of muscle breakdown. Prioritize natural, anti-inflammatory, nutrient-dense foods instead. Think colorful vegetables, fruits, nuts, and fatty fish. Final tip almost nobody mentions. Never skip your post-workout meal. That window is critical for muscle repair. Plain yogurt with oats or banana with peanut butter works well. Simple, fast, and packed with the protein your muscles need right then. That meal helps muscle recover instead of breaking down further. It sends the signal to rebuild, not to cannibalize. Picture that same chair stand, now easier, stronger, steadier. That's the payoff of these daily choices. Reminder, this video is educational, not personal medical advice. It's based on science, but your body is unique. Always consult your own doctor before changing diet or routine, especially if you take medications or have a health condition. Share in the comments if you've noticed these strength changes in yourself or a loved one. Your story might help someone else spot the signs. Muscle loss isn't fate, caring for it protects your freedom, and that is something worth fighting for, at any age.